Hey guys, it's Wine Wednesday and we are live and we're doing something a little crazy. We are blind tasting Carl on three Chardonnays. Number two, these are our special work documents, as I like to call them. Number three, number one. I gotta say, one of these is a $115 bottle from Burgundy. Two are Canadian Chards at far less than that. I'm gonna see if Carl can pick them up.
Mira, Mira, you need to come downstairs. Your reception upstairs is a no-go.
Okay. All right, we'll see you guys in a sec.
Canadian wine lovers, Carl's Wine Club members, everyone across the country, welcome. It's Wednesday. It's Wednesday Wine Happy Hour. It's time to sit back, to relax, to pop a great bottle of Canadian wines and to enjoy. Today we have a very, very fun but packed show. We're hosting Fabian, Reis and Cubby, both from Ferox Winery in Niagara-on-the-Lake, owner, winemaker. We're going to have a fantastic show. Like Mira said in the intro, they're blind tasting me on three Chardonnays. You know why we're doing the Chardonnay thing today? It's because we're going to Burgundy. Fabian and his wife, Stephanie, are joining us on the trip to Burgundy, and we're going to bring some Ferox Chardonnay. Now the trip with us in the old world, in the motherland of Chardonnay. And you know what? We're going to bring some Ferox Chardonnay with us. Now the trick is I have to find which one is the Ferox, which one is the Burgundian Chardonnay, and also I put in, well, when I say Mira, put a BC Chardonnay as well in the lineup. Mira, welcome to the show. Sorry, there was a little cutting. I was cutting off upstairs, so I thought you might be better down here.
That. Is this better?
It's much better now. I can hear you.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I was saying that we have all these work documents and we're gonna blind taste Carl. I think it should be easy for him to figure out the BC, the Niagara, and the Burgundy because he tastes what, like 1,500 Canadian wines a year. We get our good dose of Chardonnays from across the country at the Chardonnay marathons. Last year we did it. There were 112 or so Chardonnays open, so he should be able to pick it out.
And you know what? I should do much better than I've done last week with my three iconic BC 2021, where I batted 0 for 3, which was an awful result. But still, that was 3 fantastic wines. And yeah, I'm excited to taste these 3 Chardonnays side by side. I also have, and you have upstairs on top of these 3 Chardonnays, 3 red wines, because we are treating ourselves tonight with 3 very highly rated Ferox Red. We have 3 2020 wines. The vintage of the century, like the late Adnan Aysel used to call it, about 2020 vintage. We have 2020 Cap Sauv, 2020 Cap Franc, and 2020 Syrah in our glass here. We're also probably going to have another taste of the 2021 Malbec. I also want to talk about everything Ferox. You know why?
Wow.
Because we have the owner and the winemaker in the green room, but also because you're just about to hit send on an email that we're starting to feature Ferox right here, right now, tonight. So I am thrilled for the second time in 3 years we're featuring Ferox. Last time we did that, we had one of our top 10 wine of the year in the lineup. And after the fact, after we featured the 2020 Merlot, we absolutely wiped them out of their inventory. And you know what? I'm planning to do more of that kind of shit this week. So, because
Oh no.
I mean, the lineup is absolutely off the freaking chart. We not only we have the chance to feature some of their very, very, very best wine, like the Riesling 22, like the is it the 22? I can't mess up my my vintage here. The 23, the 23. I know he's probably pulling his hair. And the 23, like Brian Schmidt, like mentioned a couple of weeks ago, one of the best Riesling vintage. So Rieslings, Syrah, Malbec, some rare stuff, but also some awesome, awesome value wine. The first time ever that Ferox are dipping their toes into the super value category, which makes me happy, and I'm sure that will make the wine lovers very happy as well. So Mira Boucher, it's Wednesday. Welcome, welcome. It's great to share the screen with you again this week. You look great, by the way. You're looking good. And how you doing right now?
Really good, because there's 5 amazing wines in front of me. So
That should it should be 6, not 5.
I only have 5.
Oh,
Oh, I see another one.
the, yeah, the big one with that is it the big one? The big one is the Syrah. The big one is the Syrah. So yeah, here is 6. Here is number 6 here.
Okay, I can't wait. I can't wait. So why don't we bring our special guests on? And then you guys can chat, and then we'll get back to blind tasting you, because some of these shards I just poured. Actually, all 3 of them I just poured. They were breathing a little bit with their corks off. But yeah, have you had an initial sniff of the shards?
I do, and we'll have to talk about something that might have a little issue here.
What's that?
I think we have a big issue. So we'll talk about it. If you smell glass number 3, even if you're not a master som, you'll tell me that there's an issue into that glass number 3.
I think it's corked.
Fuck me. there's a cork bottle in the lineup. So.
Carl, you might have people that don't know you in this show, and
oh yeah, sorry, I should have said that kind of words, but
in French.
Yeah. Anyway, you know what? Let's dig into that. But I need you. We've been thinking about something pretty cool. I need you to quiz a little bit, Fabian, about Burgundy, okay? Because this guy, I know his better half, the boss of Ferox, Stephanie, like you are the boss of Carl's Wine Club, right? So Stephanie's not on the show tonight, but I need you to pick his brain a little bit, okay? Because we're going to take these guys with us to Burgundy in June, and I'm excited to know more about the why. How about the why they're joining us and our other 12 couples for this epic bucket trip trip.
That'll be awesome. So how about this? You guys get started. We're going to bring them on. You guys get started. I want to know the Ferox story. I want to know about all these wines. I want to know what they're up to in harvest, because I saw on their Instagram that they're like in the middle of harvest. So it's really amazing that they took the time to step out of their harvest stuff and spend some time with us. And then I'll jump back on when you get to the end of that chat and grill Fabian about Burgundy. I don't know if he's ever been to Burgundy even, so I want to know.
We'll figure it out.
I've never been, so yeah.
I haven't been either.
Some of the people coming to Burgundy are on right now. I see Tracy and Jim. I don't know if Daryl and Sandy are on. I see Jeanette and Danny are on. They're coming to Burgundy with us, and they're going to be here in BC this weekend too. We have our Winery of the Year tour Friday and Saturday with a small group of members in the Cab Franc Marathon. There's a lot going on in the wine world. It's a full-time job tasting all these wines with you guys, but it's a lot of fun. So
it sure is.
we'll find out what the 3 blind tasting shards are after we get more of Carl's impressions, other than one of the 3 is corks. So we'll find out which one of the 3. I'll open the special packaged work documents and we'll know which one that is. So, Daryl is here. Daryl, Sandy, cheers. He's got 21 Chardonnay Clos Jardin in his glass. And who else mentioned a wine? Stacy and Jeff, they've got a 2020 Stanners Pinot Noir. Now, I know nothing about wines outside of Canada. Where's that from, Carl?
Which one?
Stanners Pinot Noir.
Stanners?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's from Canada.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be your researchist. I'll find out. But or they can let us know in the chat if they know. All right, let's bring on Fabian Reis, co-founder, co-owner, and winemaker at Ferox Wines, as well as Cubby Sadoon, who's also winemaker at Ferox. You guys, thank you for joining us. Hey.
How's it going, guys?
Hey, how are you?
Hey.
Cool. How are you doing?
Comment ça va?
Ça va, ça va. I'm already in French. I freaking love it.
That's all I know.
Just prepping for Burgundy, you know.
We're gonna work on that. We still have 10 months, so we're gonna improve that. Guys, welcome. We have Fabian Reis, we have Cubby Sadoon. You guys, assistant winemaker and also owner at Ferox Winery, located in Niagara-on-the-Lake. Fabian, good evening. Cubby, good evening. Guys, it's 8 o'clock at home. You had a packed day. You guys have had a packed couple weeks. And obviously, moving forward for the next 3 to 4 weeks, it's going to be the absolute mayhem. Before we start, I want to know how's the vineyard is looking right now.
Well, we are super, super pleased. It's been an incredible vintage so far. Cubby and myself, we've actually been tremendously surprised how early the vintage has started for us. We're actually ahead of last year by just about a week or so. And we brought in our field blend this year. We did a field blend trial, our 2025 Ferox White. So we brought in our Pinot Grigio, Gewürztraminer, and Gruner Veltliner. So it's actually a field blend. And so that's been undergoing fermentation. It's about 10 days now in the ferment. Really cool, nice and mellowed out. Everything is going very balanced. And we recently brought in our Sauvignon Blanc 2025, which is an incredible vintage. Lots of complexity already. The juice is very, very clean. That's going to be going into 50% tonneau, 500-liter barrels, and then 50% in stainless steel. But the vintage, I mean, we're so pleased with everything. All the parameters, all the variables have been just perfect for us. We did have a bit of a dry year, compared to last year. We had timely rains. The crop is not as heavy. For us, obviously, very beneficial for the quality that we're aiming for. But yeah, we're so excited. So it's been a super exciting time. And today wasn't that crazy of a day. And we just got some cellar work finished up and some blending and some barrel work and getting ready for next week's next pick. So yes.
And next pick, Fabian, it looks like what? The next pick should be Chardonnay or?
No, not quite. Go ahead.
So we're aiming actually this upcoming Monday. It'll be Merlot and Malbec for our very much so acclaimed rosé that we've almost gotten a little bit of fame for at Ferox. So our home farm, about 14 rows of some incredible Merlot, and then a little bit more from our middle block and south block of Malbec. So that'll be picked, call it within 15 to 20 minutes of being machine picked and optically sorted. It'll be already in our press, zero skin contact, pressed, and then we'll see where Mother Nature allows us to take it.
How long does Chardonnay, how's the Chardonnay looking? Because, okay, maybe I'm a Chardonnay obsessed, but I'm looking for not some dates, but where are we in the process?
We're looking at about 2 week and a half, 2 weeks. We're going to start picking the Chardonnays. Yeah. So they're right now, I mean, the sugar is, we're not necessarily looking just for sugar. This is typically not, it is a parameter that's important for us, but it's more of acidity. We pick more based on acidity. That's what we're known for. Wines that are lean, fresh, but have lots of complexity, that have lots of concentration.
And I mean, we're also sitting on a decent amount of champagne clone
Yes.
vines. So
Yes.
we're genuinely picking for acidity. We're almost treating this like a base sparkling wine. Not quite. It's going to be a still wine at the end, but acidity is kind of the main mantra as we pick. Chard.
And so the Silver Lion here is the one that you guys do on oak. So probably do the first pick for this wine, keeping the reserve on the vines for a little longer, and the Black Lion for later. Is that the way that you guys proceed?
Well, it depends. It's all vineyard typicity, right? Depending on where the location is. It's all about terroir location for us. So we have about three different vineyard sites for our Chardonnays. Typically, we see the Chardonnay steel picked a little bit earlier, lower pH, higher acidity. We try to thrive for lower alcohol, a very balanced wine, a very versatile wine. Whereas the Chardonnay Reserve, we want a little more weight, we want a little more texture. Here we want a little bit more alcohol, so we're picking a little bit later in the season, a few weeks after the steel gets picked. And then actually the Chardonnay Black Lion is not made every year. It's a year where we do it more in a cooler year. We don't want too much alcohol. We want this wine to be really, really balanced. And then there could be the odd time where we would do a blend between some barrel from the Chardonnay R2 and stainless steel, and or even Black Lion Chardonnay. So there could be a bit of a blend going on. Typically the Chardonnay Black Lion, you're going to see absolutely no oak. You're going to see the wine sit more on lees to get more of that texture, that manno protein, whereas the Chardonnay Reserve has the balance between oak and stainless. And typically all these wines undergo no filtration at all. But they're very lean, but we're not looking at too masculinity in our Chardonnays. We really want these to be, very soft and elegant. That's the idea.
So now we jumped right in this, and I'm always guilty of that. I like to go straight in the meat and potatoes of the conversation, but I need to backtrack a little bit. We have lots of listeners on different channels here, the YouTube channel, the LinkedIn channel, and all that. How about, Fabian, background of you're German. You were born in Germany. You study wine in Germany. Your partner is from Germany. So how about you tell us a little bit about the how Ferox came to life, and how do you operate, you and Cubby? Because, I mean, you have a small team. It's you, Cubby, David, your general manager, and your wife. I mean, it's pretty much it. And what's the philosophy, and how was Ferox came to be alive?
Well, what came from a dream of a project the dream came true. So essentially, I was born and raised in Germany, in Stuttgart, so the southern part of Germany, close to Alsace, so close to the French border. And essentially, my grandparents, they immigrated in the early 80s to Canada and started a winery in Niagara. And my parents and I, we came to Canada in 1995. And so I was raised in Niagara, worked with the family business for quite some time. And then I relocated back to Europe to study winemaking, viticulture, and business from 2005 to 2011. And essentially, the idea is for us, why I went back to school there, I wanted to go back to the old world, back to the roots. And the winemaking for me is what we're trying to achieve in Niagara is we're trying to make more wines with a classical approach. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're trying to make wines that are very suitable to our region, wines that work well, varieties that work well, of course. Now, when I say varieties that work well, and we have Syrah and Malbec in this picture, it's interesting that it has worked for us. We don't produce a lot of it, of course. They're fun. These are wines, that we're consistently making these wines or reproducing them, but we're not focused heavily on them. We have other varieties that we're very keen on. Merlot, we grow nearly 17 acres of Merlot alone. Merlot has been a flagship varietal for us. And so back to the story, Stephanie.
Well, Fabian, I have to stop you right there. Talking about Merlot, you made one of the rare Merlot that I rated 95 points in 5 years. I think there's might be 2 or 3 Merlots that I rated 95 points, and you made one of them. So keep focusing on Merlot, my friend. You are absolutely freaking killing it every time you touch Merlot. So let's keep it up.
Thank you so much. No, it means a lot. No, and essentially the evolution of the brand and everything. Ferox represents the name fierce in Latin. The Leo is the symbol of I'm a lion and my wife is a Leo, so that typically goes very well. It's been working out well so far. My wife and I, we started this business from the ground up. We worked together. We were married, and we of course lived together. So it's a good way. Not everyone can do it, but being Leos, sometimes she has to give up too once in a while, of course, too, right? So, and then essentially in 2018, we purchased this property. This is a former winery called Rancourt. They're a family from Quebec. We were buying all the grapes from this vineyard when we were a virtual brand. The virtual presence meant working from another winery, and this winery that gave us a chance to get started was Reis Estate Winery in Niagara-on-the-Lake. And Klaus and I, Klaus, the mentor and a good friend of mine, he helped us get started as a small virtual brand. And then when 2018 came around the corner, we were able to acquire this property. We had the privilege to be here in Niagara. We love Niagara. It has so many opportunities to be here in this beautiful area. And so Cubby joined me about 4 years ago. He's my right hand and my assistant winemaker. Him and I make all the wines together, and we have a really, really small team. Between Stephanie, myself, Cubby, and Dave, we are the team. But I'm not forgetting about our part-timers. We have about 5 to 6 part-time staff members, and then we have obviously a vineyard division with another 7 or 8 employees as well. So we are a small, call it maybe 6 to 12 employees that are running Ferox, and we're super excited to see what the future brings.
That is amazing. And I mean, we took our group, some of our amazing members to your place last year for an amazing lunch and a wonderful Riesling tasting. I have to say, once every blue moon, I still have some email about Cubby. Like our members are like asking about Cubby, asking about Ferox. I mean, you guys knows hospitality. The way that you build your team at the winery, I mean, we were so impressed. I mean, there's that European style of hospitality that you guys are bringing to the table, which is absolutely fantastic. I have to say, world-class Niagara-on-the-Lake establishment. I'm so thrilled, guys, to have you back in the lineup. And more than that, we're going to start traveling together. We're going to talk about it in a few minutes. But Cubby, I want to talk to you for just 1 second. Like your transition from where you were and joining Ferox. How did you make that decision? What was so appealing for you to join Fabian and his team?
It's actually it's somewhat of a storied history. So as you probably remember, when we did our tasting together about a year ago, I was actually a former med student, and I ended up dropping out of med school and focusing on oenology and viticulture, mainly because I have my own, personal opinions about, Canadian healthcare. But I paid my way through my undergrad by being a consultant winemaker. So I was chatting with quite a few different winemakers within the region, and it's just so happened that over the course of almost call it 4 to 5 years, every winery I was working at, Fabian just so happened to be there. He was either consulting, he dropped by to say hello, he was, chatting about, vineyard equipment and winery equipment. And after about I want to say 5th or 6th time, I kind of said, okay, not a big believer in fate, but this has got to mean something. I keep seeing this gentleman around. And so we connected, a very much so, brief interaction. And there was an incredible job opportunity that came up at Ferox around, I want to say 2019 to 2020. And I had applied, and Fabian called me and he said, you know what, I actually think that we're good right now, but I do promise you, I am going to call you back because I want you on your team. I want you on this team. And so I dismissed it, of course, that's someone just being polite and saying that they'll call back. And so I spent a couple of months helping out at various different wineries doing either consulting or harvest help. And lo and behold, in kind of, I want to say late part of 2020, early 2021, I get a call on Facebook Messenger from Fabian Reis. And so picked up, and this to this day, I will say one of the big reasons why I'm not only in love with this brand, but also Fabian as a person, Stephanie, and of course their adorable son, Hugo, is he's a man of his word. And after almost 6-8 months, he promised he would call me, and he called me back. And he said, you know what, I've got an opportunity. I would love you on the team. I never went through a formal interview. It was, let's just chat, let's sign some papers, and you're on the team. And that was around March of 2021. And on that day, the moment I signed those papers, I said, I'm dedicating the rest of my winemaking history to Ferox. And that has not at the slightest changed. And here I am.
I freaking love that story. I freaking love that story. I love it. I mean, it reached me to my core. I love that. You guys are the best. Let's talk about wine now. Okay, let's put the feelings aside. It's amazing. I love it. But let's start talking about the lineup here, because you know what? I said maybe we're going to talk more about the lineup next week, but I need to talk. Because we're going to do another show next week with you guys about, well, not with you, but about the full lineup, because the feature is going to start tonight and we're going to feature it all the way across. But what I want to talk to you about, Fabian and you, Cubby, it's about a little bit of a shift that happened at Ferox. While you guys are known for your super premium wine, and absolutely crushing it on that side, you dip your toes for the first time on the value proposition wine. I mean, when I tasted that, the vintage red and the vintage white, I was like, okay, you went to value. You didn't have to go that value. Jeez, it's underpriced. I mean, at $16.95, these wines, these blend that you've made could have been sold easily for $25, $26. I mean, what was the strategy? I mean, the love for Canadian wines in Ontario right now, absolutely exploding. We're seeing that shift happening. That made in Canada movement. I have to tip my hat to the LCBO. The move that they made to replace all the US SKUs by Ontario SKUs. It's a move that the BC government has not made, and we saw the immediate impact on the wine lovers in Ontario. So now, you guys took that advantage, because I was probably in the making before that whole thing. But tell me a little bit how your turnaround towards value. I mean, you kept us and still make the super premium. I mean, we're focusing our energy this week 90% on super premium wine. But what was the thought behind vintage red and vintage white?
Well, it's a great question. So the answer simply was, okay, when we started Ferox, we can't forget, when we started Ferox, we only started with 3 barrels. 3 barrels is equivalent to 75 cases of wine. Mm-hmm. We were doing a lot of wine in futures. We still do future sales. We're very privileged to have the clientele we've built since 2015, online only, down to having a brick and mortar business now. I have a very, very loyal wine club. We are so thankful to have the best clients possible that are loyal to us. Our branding, we don't really do, and I say we're more repeat customers, word of mouth and all that stuff. But when we started scaling our business, like any business does, scaling was a very challenging thing for us because we were ultra premium. Our price points are very high. And COVID was also a challenge. We thought, you know what? You can always lower your price, but you can never go up again. And so what we said was, when we took on another 40 acres of vineyards about a year ago, we had more varieties in terms of volume to work with. So we had more acreage that we took on onto the portfolio on the estate. But then also on top of that, it was the option working with the LCBO. The LCBO approached us many, many, many years ago, and we kept denying, saying we don't have the volume. We're 100% retail sales, direct to consumer, etc. And not that they were cheesed, but they were happy to finally get a glimpse of Ferox's wine. So we wanted to offer something as an option to some of our other SKUs. So this is a strict sub brand. So it's not, it's made by us. It's our grapes, 100% from us. but it's a sub-brand called Vantage. These are wines that are easy, fresh, youthful, not too much oak, lower in alcohol, especially the white. The red, we're trying to watch also the alcohol, so picking time is earlier. These are 100% non-vintage blends, and the reason why is also because sometimes with a micro winery our size, it's tough to have small batches to blend. So these are not leftovers or like saldo wine. These are wines that we're really curating. Me and Cubby and myself are really putting these wines together and say, what vintages really work well together in order to curate these types of assemblages or blends for these two wines. And for the price point, Carl, yes, the price point, we think the price point is very competitive, but people who want to get a glimpse of Ferox and they're not willing to spend as much money, we said, you know what, let them get into the world of Ferox, let them start by the sub-brand of Vantage. It's like a Mercedes, I would say. You know, to get to the S class, maybe you start with the B or C class and you work yourself up. It's still a very good vehicle. It's still a very good collection part of the brand. But this is something that's versatile, easy, everyday wines. Wines you have at a party, wines you have at a function. And this is what we never had before, this variety of volume to work with. And we're really super happy. And the LCBO, of course, with the whole tariff trade war with the US, has benefited not just Ferox, it has benefited the entire Canadian wine industry to have Canadian products on the shelves in the LCBO, and this is exactly the perfect time for Vantage to be launched in the LCBO wholesale. Yeah.
So we're featuring these two wines with the feature this week. It took a little bit of convincing, but I really appreciate you guys to give us that opportunity, because we can feature Ferox now more also to our different category of member. We have members who are looking for value proposition once a month. We have, and we also have members who are looking for the collector stuff. So by getting there, we can really appeal to the whole demographic of Carl's Wine Club, which is pretty freaking fantastic. So let's talk about the white. By the way, I left the bottle of white in Victoria this weekend with my mother-in-law. She is a big fan. We had a special dinner on Sunday. She loves the Rieslings, and she loves Moscato Tonel. She's from Hungary, and she grew up on the vineyard of Moscato Tonel. And when she tasted Vantage White, she was like, "Oh my God, this is." But she said, "That must be expensive." And I said, "Yes, Baba, very expensive, under $17. And she thought I was joking. But yeah, Vantage White. What I love with Vantage White, I give it a 91 points, to be honest with you. And with me, Fabian, what's happening? When I rate the wine, I put the price in the equation. I always do, because to me, it's a critical part of what we're offering. If the wine, the juice in the bottle completely overmatch the price point, it deserves at least half a point extra. So Vantage White was absolutely the top-notch example of that. You're focusing on Riesling. That's one of the two whites that you really hang your hat on at the winery. And for me, as a consumer, I would say if that winery is focused on premium Rieslings and they put 80% Riesling in my value white, that's mean they knows what you're doing. So I really, really enjoy that freshness. 30 grams of residual sugar, which will make a lot of people run away. And like that phobia of residual sugar, right? No, I don't drink sweet wine. There you go. Picking early, high acid, balance, sweetness, and acid. That was the key of my tasting notes on that wine. Balance between sweet and acid make you a wine that's absolutely pleasing and nice texture. So well done on that one.
Oh, I'm glad. I mean, Carl, that was one of the big things when we were touting the idea of Vantage as a sub-brand. We looked at Vantage as being the idea that multiple vintages and varieties can create a wine that is a true representation of time and place. when we talk about terroir, we talk about time and place. But accessibility was another aspect. And Riesling is a variety that we would like to say is we are hopefully the home of Riesling in Niagara-on-the-Lake. And that's not to say that other producers don't produce incredible wines. Riesling is something that, of course, Fabian's background, but also
I'm having Brian Schmidt calling me right now. What is he talking about? It's the bench.
I purposely mentioned Niagara-on-the-Lake for that specific reason, to ensure that I kept Brian Schmidt happy. But Fabian's background and the way that we produce Riesling gives us the multitude of opportunities to showcase Riesling in different styles. I mean, we both agree that outside of Riesling and Chardonnay, there aren't very many varieties that are as versatile as those two grapes in the entire world. Everything from a Brut Natur sparkling wine to an ice wine and everything in between. So Vantage was the idea that how can we incorporate Riesling, but give it almost a slightly fresh perspective? And the way that we created Vantage White, it's a blend of 83% Riesling and 17% Chardonnay. And the beauty of that is Chardonnay brought texture, it brought weight, it brought almost structure to the wine. And Riesling gave it aromatic intensity. And I love that you mentioned that it was a wine, 31 grams of sugar per liter makes most people run away. And of course, in this day and age, with calorically wise decisions and health conscious decisions, most would look at that and go, maybe not. But I think a lot of people on average forget that as winemakers, our only ability to communicate flavor intensity and body is through sugar or alcohol. And we wanted to make a wine at 10% alcohol that was a health conscious decision, but a wine that still had sweetness where you had the luxury of tasting what you smelt. But at the same time, acidity helps strip everything away from your palate, making you salivate, making you want to take another sip. And it's a wine that, not very proud to admit, it's been my summer white wine of choice. Everything from spritzes to enjoying just the Vantage White. I have consumed way more bottles of Vantage White than I care to admit on live. But it's one of those wines that you don't have to think twice. I always tell any one of our patrons, it's an unapologetically simple and easy wine. It's something you don't have to think twice about.
And the sugar plays a role because a lot of people think, well, I've had wines before that, I get a headache or I'm not feeling well and stuff. We arrest our ferments with natural fructose sugar. And this is what plays a big role. The wine with a low pH, the balance of sugar and acidity, the high acidity really balances the sugar, but because it's fructose, it's natural sugar, it does play a big role.
It's metabolized easier. I mean, for anyone who potentially is, type 1 or type 2 diabetic, sucrose, that's the big kicker. But natural fruit sugars, that's metabolized a bit easier. And I can almost in good faith mention that as someone who used to be in medicine and say, this is a wine that you can actually enjoy. Of course, in moderation. Everything is okay in moderation, but it's a product that is so value proposition driven, you can't say no. And of course, I'm biased when I say that, but it's unapologetically easy to drink.
Okay, so the time is freaking flying here, and I have so much to talk about. Before we chat the Chardonnay here, because I think I have one of my wine of the year right in front of me, and I freaking hope that it's not the Burgundy one. Okay. Now, and I have no clue. Full disclosure, I know there's a cork bottle because Mira poured them in the bag. I have no clue. I've never seen them. I just know which wine will pour, and I don't know which one is which. Before that, I have 4 wines that I rated the last couple of days that I really want to mention. Okay, 2021 Malbec. Okay, 93 points. This Malbec is showing absolutely incredible right now. And I mentioned to Fabian on the phone today, the guys who might have seen our teaser reel on social media today. Only 50 cases made. There's barely none of that left. Extremely rare. This is, to me, and I shouldn't say that, but okay, I won't say too loud. This is a fuck you to this mass make Argentinian Malbec. And I love it. I freaking love it. This is pure. This is French Malbec like. This is Cahal in the bottle. Their nose, you pop the cork, you can smell it. It's tar. The tannin are right there. I mean, the oak profile, the black fruits. It's not a blueberry pie. It's not a freaking fruit smoothie or whatever it is. This is a real freaking Malbec. And if Mira Adam told me to not swear too much tonight because she knew I was so excited, this is so fucking good. I love that. Okay, 93 points. The other one that I want to mention is probably the very best wine of the lineup, and I tasted that wine 2 years ago, and it didn't showcase that way. And it's the Cab Sauv. 2020 Cab Sauv, 93 plus points. It might be the very best Cab Sauv that I've tasted all year. I mean, this is literally left bank Bordeaux. And I feel like I'm repeating myself because I'm mentioning the same thing with the Syrah. This is Northern Rhone. This is left bank Bordeaux. This is Cahal. But you guys make wines European style way. And the wine needs a little bit of time, especially your reds. They need time after bottling to rest and become themselves in bottles. And I really seen that with the Cab Sauv and the Syrah. I experienced that in terms of 3 hours this morning. 5:30 a.m. First thing I've done, I came downstairs and I turned my computer on and I popped the bottle of Syrah. I had a sip. And I mean, I knew it needed time. When my kids went to school and at 9 o'clock, I came back and I had a sip of that same Syrah. And I look at Mira, I say, here you go. That's exactly what I was hoping for. And that violet, the floral component had popped out. The little smoky meatiness came up. Dark fruit. That was Northern Rhone in the glass, and I was like, yeah, here you go. So 92 plus point. We have, it's only another 50 cases made. So rare wine, high score, and so that's for the big reds. I'm not gonna move on anything else before I speak about the Riesling, because that's what you guys are known for, and that 2023 Riesling is off the chart. Brian Schmidt told me a couple weeks ago that 2023 might be the best Riesling vintage that he made in 30 years. How was your experience with the Riesling in Niagara-on-the-Lake? This is 4 Mile Creek appellation. How was 23 for you guys?
Well, 23 was a bit of a different vintage. It was a nice vintage. I thought it was a bit of a cooler vintage. We had also the rainfall. We had timely rainfalls. Everything was, I would say, it was a very, very good vintage for Riesling at 100%. Brian's absolutely right. He's you know what made it so unique too is because where we grow this Riesling is a site-specific vineyard, 4 Mile Creek sub-appellation on our east-west line property. This vineyard was planted in the early 80s. So it's some plantings in the late 70s, early 80s. We have 2 major clones, clone 239 and clone 49. These vines are cropping naturally at around 2.5 to still 2.75 tons an acre. We barely do anything in the vineyard much in terms of shoot thinning or bunch thinning or green harvest. You know, we really let the vineyard do its thing. And this vineyard is to a point now when we run we call it our sensory analysis. We taste the grapes. We make sure the grapes are phenolically ripe, etc. We run them through our lab to make sure, you know, what samples what the juice samples are, etc. We're at a point now when Cubby and I and the team are tasting the grapes. Just by tasting them, we know they're ready to go. It's every year. It's been the same. It's been a clockwork. It's been a system. Now, does that mean we're picking at the same week of every year at the same time? No, but it's usually it's a variable about 2 weeks plus minus. I mean, they're ready in the next 2 weeks already, which is like we're picking the Riesling in the next 2 weeks. This vineyard is just so unique because it was on peat soil. You get very, very beautiful aromas of almost like peaches, apples. And the way we treat this Riesling is we don't want to pick it too late. Again, same thing to what we were saying earlier. This Riesling, I always say, it's as a German, it's a sin to release and bottle the Riesling too early. But it is a business that we're in, right? It's passion, it's a business, but you know, at the end of the day, we have to still make money with the release wines. But this Riesling will taste incredibly well. I had a tasting with James Treadwell from Treadwell's and his team, and Bill, who's one of our biggest fans. They ran out of our entire 2022 vintage Riesling. They loved it so much, and I gave them the 23, and I told them this is what's to come. Just give it some more time. The petrol. We don't have the early petrol. We get the petrol a bit late, the ripening.
Yeah, and that's a good point. And I mentioned Mira, and it's in my tasting note. There's zero petrol at the beginning. Like there's none. I'm expecting it as a good German Riesling to show later in its life, in his life, maybe 5-7 years down the road. But it's very classic German. That is absolutely zero kerosene or petrol note on the nose when you open that 23.
It's also for us important too how we treat the vineyard, right? So this is something where we're very diligent, we're very careful on how much leaves we pull, how much sun exposure. We really are careful. We don't want this, and because the climate is so it's become so challenging on a global standpoint, especially in Germany where it's getting way too hot. The Rieslings there, and I love the Rieslings from the Rheingau, especially even from the Pfalz or Rheinhessen, but even lately when I was in Germany quite frequently during the year, but recently I tasted a lot of the Mosel Rieslings. They're not I'm missing the freshness that I used to taste 5-10 years ago, but now they're a little bit oily. They're losing acidity. They're not as fresh or as lean as they used to be. But we have that advantage here with cool climate viticulture. If you go to the bench, you go to Niagara. Here, we really have a great opportunity where we're very lucky to be in this area to grow Riesling in Ontario, right? Southern part of Ontario.
There's a bit of a funny sentiment that I have to bring up, and I got to throw. You may be watching, may not be. Fabian's father ended up mentioning something that I think will live in my mind rent free, and he said, "A Riesling that is youthful, that has the note of petrol, is like a 4-year-old with gray hair. It doesn't belong." and I really took that to heart, because we want these wines to be timeless accentuations of Ferox and Niagara-on-the-Lake, and we want them to develop. And I know patience sometimes, it's definitely not my strong suit, right, but it truly is a virtue, because this is a wine that will keep developing. It'll keep changing. It'll give you more complexity to pull apart with given time. And you saw that with our 2022 vintage wines. They were released in, call it 23, and over 2 years they developed. So this 23 was released in 2024. Give it till 2026 and it'll be an absolute monster.
And that's what we're trying more and more with Riesling, is to make different styles, and then the ones that we think shouldn't be released too early, we give them time, right? And then even if we bottle a bit early, but give the bottle aging a bit longer and then release to the market.
And Peter Gamble, right? And we'll talk about the Riesling person, like in Canada. Peter is often someone who comes to mind. And I was talking with Peter sometime about he spent some time in Germany as well. And anyway, long story short, he's telling me about the multiple pick strategy for Riesling. Do you guys are doing the same thing? Do you look at your Riesling vineyard and trying to do multiple pick to bring different layers of texture, or you go for one go? Is it a little bit more of your approach? How do you approach Riesling strategy?
Well, we have two sites of Riesling with 3 different blocks. So the East-West line property typically ripens a little bit earlier than the property here. So what we tend to do is that's the property that basically we'll pick a little bit earlier in the season. Whereas here we have a little more acidity. It's going to be almost like we try to essentially get the Riesling balanced in a way that we don't want the alcohol to be too high, but we will sometimes, depending on vintage, depending on style, we will go in twice in the vineyard if it's for two different types of wines in the portfolio. Sometimes, like for example, the Vantage was interesting because the Vantage, we actually picked the vineyard twice from both parcels. We wanted more acidity, so we picked it early on both vineyard sites, whereas the rest that hung longer went into Silver Lion, right? So there's another thing we tried, and it's worked out so far. But I still strongly believe the way we've done Riesling is that it's typically one solid pick, and it's worked out for us that way.
I mean, we've controlled that with undercropping or slightly overcropping certain blocks, certain parcels, certain clones. And I think Fabian has probably mentioned this more than a couple of times. We try to design our wines in the vineyard, and so if and when we see fit in the vineyard, that'll dictate how these wines almost turn out and their end product. Because ultimately, as winemakers, we are simply ushers. If we start with great raw material, we just usher good fruit into good wine. And so if it's built out there, depending on what Mother Nature and what the vintage showcases, yeah, there are definitely times that we will stagger our picks and work on specific blocks or specific clones on certain blocks. Or there's times where we know, depending on our winemaking techniques, we can not manipulate, but showcase this incredible juice in a different manner in the cellar. So we can do a single harvest, but based on our free run and our press juice, we can almost change up the entire portfolio of how this Riesling will turn out. And that's why I have always maintained, and I think Fabian believes this as well, Riesling, in my opinion, outside of Chardonnay, is the most versatile grape. You can produce it in so many different styles and showcase it in so many different fashions that even from a single block, a single clone, and a single pick, your winemaking techniques can change it or shift it into multiple different styles. And so its versatility is unmatched.
You're bang on. You're absolutely bang on. And I'm glad that you're bringing the perfect segues, because Riesling and Chardonnay is two things that you guys are some of your signature grape. So in 2027, Fabian, your winery and organizing a cruise in Germany. All right. So, and you're going to take some of your wine club members. You and Stephanie are going. We're going to join you as well for an incredible trip into the Germany world of Riesling. And I cannot wait to learn more and to see where you're coming from and your background and all that. I'm very excited. But before we hit 2027, we get to go to 2026, and it's going to be Carl's Wine Club trip to Burgundy with my passion for Chardonnay. And you and Stephanie have agreed to join us, and we're going to showcase your wines to the French vigneron when we're out there. I'm very excited about that. I cannot wait. And I know that some of our members who already signed up are so thrilled that you're going to be part of the trip. The exercise today is for me to find out which wine is which, okay? Like it happened in every single wine tasting, sometimes we get a curveball thrown at us, and the third of my option have been eliminated here because there's one wine who is utterly cork, and so I'm not sure exactly which one. I can see you sweating right now, Fabian. You're like, fuck me. Is it my Ferox? Jesus Christ, Carl, what are you doing that to me?
It happens.
Open that freaking bag. Tell me if it's mine. Please. I can feel you, brother. I don't know. So I need Mira to pop in on the screen right now. We need to chat with Mira. We need to know what's going on. Mira, oh, this man needs to be delivered of his suffering. He's suffering right now.
Okay, you want to know which one is cork? It's number 3, right?
Number 3 is fucking cork as hell. So I don't even want to taste it. So you know what I'm doing here in my head? I do best case scenario. I'm saying number 3 is the Burgundian wine. Okay, so is out of the equation, and I have a BC and an Ontario wine and a Ferox wine. First, can you please tell me exactly what is the vintage that we have in our lineup? We're featuring this week, Mira, because you have the bottle also
of the Ferox.
Yeah, I want to make sure that I'm not butchering which one. I believe that it's probably the 2021 reserve. I'm not sure. So maybe I should have a look at that.
Or waiting with me to black as
they're
well.
all in.
I'm under attack here. I have a fruit fly invasion outside here. Believe it or not, guys, it's 28 degrees here. It's 28 degrees in the Okanagan. Fruit flies are they're swarming right now. If you see me do that the last hour, I'm just trying to protect my wine. So, Mira, what is the vintage of the Ferox?
The Ferox is a 2021.
So 2021 reserve. Now, before
which we want to know the story if you guys still have time. But yeah.
That's it. I know it's late. I kept you way too long. I didn't expect, but I knew it's going to happen, to be honest. I knew. So now I would love to know as two things. Vineyard sites for the reserve and also winemaking techniques. So I want to know about the vineyard and I want to know about what you guys are doing or have done, because 2021 had the same number as 2020 until mid-September, right? I mean, 2021 was a fantastic vintage until shit happened later on, and it was late. So if you had the chance to bring your Chardonnay in before rain start and not stop, I mean, you have a wonderful vintage in your hand. So, and I like to remind that to people because there's a perception out there that 2021 was not a good vintage in Niagara. And to me, this is bullshit. We had some outstanding wines coming from the 2021 vintage, especially on the Chardonnay side.
Yeah, well, 2021 yes, it became a challenging vintage depending on when you did pick the grapes. That's absolutely true. Now, let's say the luck, that's not the right word to use, but our philosophy, our vision, our objective is actually the word to use. How we brought in our fruit is we tend to be one of the first wineries in Niagara to, like, besides sparkling, to pick our grapes, to pick harvest, start early for still wines, to start and finish at the earliest probably throughout Niagara. Why? Because we I'm not saying that we undercrop, but we have the right crop level. We have our vines, the phenolic ripeness happens very quick for us because it's the way we treat our vineyards, right? This is super important because we are in very fertile soils. So what we're trying to do is, a lot of people say, well, for us soils, you have to balance the vineyards out by cropping higher because you have a lot of nitrogen in the soils and so on and so forth. How we balance our nitrogen in our soils is by permanent cover crops and lots of grass. That's why Carl and Mira, when you guys were here, I showed you guys our vineyards, why our vineyards look a lot different than a lot of vineyards around. They might not be as manicured or as, as clean looking as everyone else, but there's a reason behind why we do this. Year after year, we've seen the change in our quality. The end result is what it's all about. Aesthetics play a role for a lot of people. The looks, of course, it's important to have a nice looking vineyard, but a lot of vineyards in Niagara, they have fairways in the middle of the vineyard, and they should almost open a golf course, So this is the vision. If I want to play golf, which I don't, I go to a golf course. In Niagara, we need biodiversity. We need flora, fauna. We need to really start boosting more regenerative farms. This works for us. If we were growers, it's a little more challenging, of course, because going the conventional route is easier as a grower because you need more volume. We've had fails. We learn every day things that we wouldn't do again. But on 2021's vintage specifically, what was interesting is that we got the Chardonnay in not even in time. We picked this Chardonnay at the end of September. It was already all finished in the entire Chardonnay, like everything. And then it basically underwent a very, very cool fermentation. Some was barrel fermented, some was stainless fermented. But it really was a vintage to say that it was a partial hand pick and a partial machine pick. The hand pick was important for full cluster pressings, just to retain that freshness and acidity. And very gentle squeeze. Our press yield is very low. It's typically only around 60%. And then the rest machine pick just to get a little more extraction, more color. based on fermentation. But that was the vintage of 2021 because we were fortunate enough that we finished harvest we started very early and we finished very early. I think
I want to say
first week of October.
First week of October, all of those reds were in.
We're in.
And again,
wow.
I mean, that kind of speaks to most people's idea of how 2021 went. It was, and it's the same, honestly, if I have to be, very transparent, it was the same with 2020. We talk about it as, the Mother Nature's gift to us, the pretty much only good thing that happened in 2020.
Yeah.
bringing up an entire pandemic and that PTSD. 2020 had the makings of an incredible vintage, but for aromatic whites, you could still get it very wrong if you let it hang for too long. So it was an incredible vintage for red phenolic development and for color development. But at the same time, if you were a little too late for your whites, you would have lost all that acidity because it was dry. You had a lot of heat units. You had a lot of alcohol development. And then with traditional fermentation techniques, a lot of glycerol development. So you have that weighty, oilier mouthfeel. 21 was kind of interesting though, because you probably see this with the bottle in front of you, and we've got one right over here. You'll see a little green Roman numeral for 2.
Yeah, Mira has it in the bag here, but yeah.
Right? So you'll see Chardonnay Reserve II, and we playfully call it our Chardonnay R2. And that's because we experimented in our barrel cellar with the Chardonnay. This was all picked, obviously, in 2021. We brought in the fruit, like Fabian said, partial whole cluster, partial machine picked, separated into free run and pressed juice. We fermented them individually in barrel and in stainless steel. And we were left with about 13 neutral French oak barriques from about 4 or 5 different coopers that we aged this for approximately 1.5 years, almost 2 years. And we subsequently decided, okay, we're going to take 4 of those barrels and blend it with a portion of stainless steel fermented Chardonnay from that same vintage. And we released it as our inaugural Chardonnay Reserve. And that wine, I would be lying if I said flew out like hotcakes. We bottled about 2,000 liters of that wine, and in about 9 months, we sold out. And so Fabian and I, we had the luxury of saying, okay, do we wait a little bit? What do we do with the remaining barrel inventory? Because 4 barrels left us, and then the remaining barrels were still filled with that Chardonnay. And we said, let's play a bit of a game. Let's taste the health of these wines every single month, and let's see how they develop. Because again, the beauty of oak or any non-stainless steel alternative as a vessel is it's non-hermetic. It communicates with the air around it. It changes, right? No 2 barrels, no matter if they're the same cooper, same toast, same production year, they all breathe and impact their wines differently. And so we said, let's play this game. Let's keep waiting. And we tasted it month after month after month. And eventually it had spent almost 3.5, close to 4 years in oak. And we tasted all the barrels. We had done blending trials, sampled each one individually, did percentage blends. And we finally, were yielded with around a 2,000 barrel fermented and barrel aged component and about 550 liters left of our stainless steel. And out of a Hail Mary, after about a week worth of blending trials, we tasted this one final blend at that percentage. The moment we tasted it, I think we looked at each other and we went, and I'm going to swear now for the first time on this, and we went, holy shit, this is the blend.
Hey, this is a soft swear. This is really soft. I'm disappointed.
I've got to keep in line with what Mira kind of told you. So
that's so classy, Carl. You see how it's done.
We looked at each other. We went, this is a rocket launcher. This is the blend that we have to do. So after almost 4 years in barrel, we took that component of around 2,000 liters, blended it with that stainless steel, fined it, but left it unfiltered. And that was kind of the second time that we did that. First time in the Silverline collection, we said, we're going to leave this unfiltered. We want to give you the most honest, authentic representation of this vintage and of this variety that we possibly can. And once we bottled it, I think most people kind of went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, right? Everyone really fell in love with it. And we have, of course, plenty of clients that identify as ABC, anything but Chardonnay. And as Carl and Mira, as you experienced when you came over here, I love doing blind tastings. And I almost take a bit of pride in doing a blind tasting, pouring this wine and having someone say, wow, this is incredible Pinot Gris. This is a great Viognier. And I go, this is Chardonnay. And they go, no, this can't be Chardonnay. There's no oak. There's no glycerol. The alcohol is not high enough. No, this is Chardonnay. This is our ability to try and produce a pure, authentic interpretation of this variety with a little je ne sais quoi, right? A little bit of intervention in the cellar. How do we age? What fermentation temperatures do we do this in? And then the final product is, in my opinion, biasly, one of the better balanced Chardonnays in the entire Niagara-on-the-Lake sub-appellation.
Okay, I have to know now. I need Mira's help here, and I'm going full on. There's a wine here who I'm giving 94 plus points. One of the three wines in front of me is absolutely fucking off the chart. One of the most outstanding Chardonnay of the year. Okay, so there's one who has a finish who lingers much more than the others, much more. I have a feeling that number one, I hope this is number one. I to be honest, full disclosure, guys, I have no clue. And I hope that I was smarter than that and I would have said, can you please tell me which one is which so I don't look like an idiot and we can make a big salesy pitch or whatever. I don't know. Okay.
I don't know. He's the wine guy. As soon as I put them in the blind, you could just as well blind taste me because I put them in the things, I mix them up. I don't know which one is which. So let me pull them out of the bags.
I would say if it's number one, it's the R2 from Ferox. I can't wait to see the freaking French vigneron's face when we're going to pour that to them when we're out there. 94 plus points. That might be 95 by tomorrow morning when I finish my old tasting notes. First time tasted, the number one wine. Okay, your number one on the bag was my number one here. So tell me if it's the Ferox. I think this is it. It is, because I think the BC one is much softer, is a year older. I think I opened the 2020 from the Naramata bench, from Meyer's family. I have a feeling that the Ferox, it's the number one wine. So, and it's a 94 plus to start. It might increase overnight after when I taste it a little later tonight and with some food. So Mira, drum roll. I fucking hope that I'm not looking like an idiot and I have the French wine at 94 plus points. And full disclosure, the French wine, I paid $140. It's a Ladois from Favely Vineyard. Okay, Favely family. And I pay $144 at Marquee Wine in Vancouver.
Okay.
So I hope that's the one who's
Okay, I do have good news for you. So your number three that was corked is the
no.
So I can be reimbursed. I can get my money back.
Oh,
I think so. I think I can return it to the retailer.
We'll ship it back to them. It'll be there tomorrow. No, Friday, overnight. But yeah, so that is good news in the sense that we do get to find out about the Canadian ones, which we have access to, and which
so we have number one and number two. We have one Ferox and one Meyer family. One of the two is a 94 plus wine, and please tell me that it's number one. So just for the sake of tonight, number two actually is very nice too. Softer, not as much torque and acidity.
So let's go. 1 second here. Tell us about both. So why did you tell us number one and number two? Why do you think that they are?
Because I tasted the 2022 this one recently. I have a little bit of the same aromas coming up. I have that little bit of almond, the little bit nutty component that I found on that one, on the 22 Silver Lion. I connected the nose between the two of them. There's also the bright acidity, which I usually refer, like when I taste a bright, crisp and laser focused type of wine, I usually will go towards Ferox because this is such their personality. All of their wine, red or white or rosé, have a great level of acidity. So that was the why. The why I attribute number 2 to Meyer, it's because it's softer, a warmer year. It's 2020 vintage. It was the old main road from the Ramada, and I just had that the connection of number 1 was truly Ferox. Now, if it's not that, I look like a fucking moron. That is for sure. But
so last week, you guys, if you missed it did not go so well with the blind tasting last week, in the sense that Carl mixed up all 3 of the wines.
thanks for reminding me. Thank you. Really kind of you, Mira. You're awesome.
It was really tough. It was a really tough tasting. You didn't say anything terrible about any of them. It was just like, yeah, they were mixed up. And Mike LaPlante, the average wine enthusiast, who's chiding you there in the comments, he got them in the comments. It's just Carl couldn't see the comments. He got it just based on my facial expressions as Carl was saying the wine.
You know what? If
Anyways,
there's
okay, so
if there's anything that you can take solace from,
is that what you
Okay,
said?
I'm just switching spot here because I'm just about to die. My phone is about to go empty. So before, there you go. There you go. Hey, Cubby, before you mention it, Cubby, I think you're bang on. It's like this stupid blind tasting stuff. It's is it? Did I got it?
You beat yourself after last week, Carl. Oh my God.
I did it. I did it. But Fabian, I'm not joking. I was on the phone with you earlier today and I said your wines are bright acid across the board. And that's really, really what got me.
Yes. Amazing.
So,
love to.
Backwards, but this was from BC, Meyer Family Vineyards.
so to be honest, Mira, there was 2 things what I was thinking, and one thing may have I threw me off a bit, and it's one thing I was sure Meyer was way too soft to be a Ferox. That's why I was like, I will look really idiot, but like in my mind, I was like, it's too soft, too round. Like Ferox has much more acidity. It's much more laser focused. But there was one thing. I was a little bit of wild ferment taste that I can't pick. And usually Ontario wines are much more wild ferment, natural ferment than BC wine. BC, almost 80% of the Chardonnays are like regular ferment. They're not wild ferment. And I was like, that might be, but that was the only thing who made me question. But finally, I was like, no. It's the acid cannot lie, and boom. Okay. Guys, that wine has a length and complexity that is absolutely off the chart. Incredible. Well done. I'm glad that I picked the right one. But is it really right or wrong? I mean, I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, well done. This is I'm
really glad this was the one that was corked, because it would have been pretty terrible. So yeah, it was from a wine shop, so I am curious. We'll have to see if they do take it back. But
there you go. Well done. I am so excited to bring that R2 to France. Holy shit. I am so excited.
We can't wait, man.
Can't wait. Same here.
Yeah. So here we go. Mira, do you have Mira, what did you think of these of the Chardonnay? Because you usually have an opinion too on Chardonnay. So
they're both so good, and yeah, they're both really delicious. They're different. They're very different. Like I would say number 2, like the BC one, is a little bit maybe creamier. I don't know.
that's what I was mentioning about like soft and rounder.
2% new on that one. I don't know what you guys mentioned about for the Reserve 2. Was there a lot of newer oak on that one?
Yeah, what's the oak profile on that, guys?
Almost 30% new.
30 new.
30 new, and
Oh,
then
wow.
by 70 neutral. We did a combination. It was actually primarily in Barrique.
Yeah.
And a little bit in Tonneau, but 90% was done in Barrique. Combination of, actually, majority was 228 Burgundy barrels. Like Cubby was mentioning earlier, 5 different coopers, but that's very unique because more and more we are getting away from the same way, like the way we pick. Because we pick early, we still have complexity. We're trying to build elegance more and more in our portfolio. That's why we're using barrels that are not taking away the primary fruit from Chardonnay, for example. We don't want too much smoke or cigar or too much vanilla, too much, like even the diacetyl, the butteriness, we're really watching that too, because that can mask the Chardonnay too. Slight flintiness is nice, but we're really trying to make sure these wines are very balanced. And the more and more working with oak and neutral oak and older oak has been a real joy for our wines, because oak, as we all know, is important, but it can also ruin a product very quickly. Back in the day, I used to love drinking Californian Chardonnays, buttery, high alcohol, lots of oak, and I don't know why. I don't know. It was something I just got into, but now more and more, I don't like them. I don't like these heavy Chardonnays. And I think with our cool climate viticulture, we don't need to make big Chardonnays. We make, Canada makes world-class Chardonnays, but they don't need to be too masculine, right? They need to be balanced.
Honestly, I think echoing what Fabian said is, even from my days in school and studying, is Chardonnay is a neutral grape. I heard this actually from a mentor. It needs a bit of makeup. You need to do something to it. And that's the reason why, so many producers out in AVA, California, pioneer the style of a lot of oak and a lot of glycerol, a lot of alcohol. But in that same vein, we have to produce wines, and I have to almost remind myself quite often, our wines have to be honest and authentic to Niagara. You come to Niagara on the Lake to drink Niagara on the Lake wines. You don't come to Niagara on the Lake to drink a cheap imitation of a Californian wine. You'll always be second class if we try to copy. And for me is Chardonnay, even though it's neutral, still has a story to tell. You still want to showcase that primary fruit, but you want to almost build it up. And I heard this from a really close friend of mine who's now producing in the region of Côte de Beaune in northern Burgundy. And I actually equate this wine as being very similar in style to what a Côte de Beaune Chardonnay would be like. He said Chardonnay and oak should be almost like a woman's makeup routine. And I remember hearing that and going, okay, unpack that. I am very confused. Give me a bit more insight. And he said, treat oak like it's mascara, never foundation. It's the final flourish in a wine. It should never be the foundation that you build up from. And that really rang true to me. And I think Fabian, even though he didn't hear that, followed a similar mindset where oak is the last little hurrah that really brings that wine alive. But the basis of that wine is Chardonnay. When we open an incredible bottle of Chardonnay, we want to taste the variety. We want varietal typicity. We don't want to taste the meddling that we've done in the cellar. And so this R2, like you mentioned, Carl, it's Chardonnay through and throughout, but it's balanced. It's everything that we want in that wine on a homeostatic plane.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. You guys nailed it. Oh my God. I was so hoping that we get that bottle, and boom, we got it. Well done. I kept you way too long. But Fabian, we're going to have the privilege to blind taste or to taste the French Vigneron with the R2. And guess what? If our members don't have the choice, don't have the privilege to join us, they can order that R2 in our feature this week. It's coming out in the next couple of minutes. So we're excited to feature 9 of your wines, you guys. All 90 points.
Chardonnay R2. 10 with the Chardonnay R2.
10 with the R2. There you go. So, it is really exciting. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, you guys are so generous of your time. Cubby, Fabian, Thank you and good job.
Thank you all for.
Now you can get.
No,
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We really appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
All right, we'll chat soon. Yeah, now they can get to bed. I mean, it's late out east, you guys. A lot of you guys are sipping wine. These guys are still working. It's harvest time. So holy smokes. They've probably been up since really early this morning, poor guys, but we so appreciate that. So Fabian, Stephanie, who wasn't on tonight with us, but is a big part of the team there. And Cubby, thank you so much. Daryl says he's ordered the Chard and CS Capsule.
Oh,
thanks so much, you guys.
The order is already trickling. So you already did the email?
Yeah, and some people are rushing for the Malbec because there is very little of the Malbec.
Yes, very little of the Malbec. We might have to substitute the Malbec from the Discovery Pack because the numbers are very low on the Malbec. So we'll might have to change the strategy. So if you guys are interested in the Malbec, it's gonna have to be in the next 24 hours. I don't think that we're gonna make it past that. So.
There you go. But hey, I want to real quick before these guys go, I just want to flash up some pictures. So we've been talking about how Fabian, Reis, and Stephanie are joining us in Burgundy, and most likely this Chard Reserve II will be also tasted with us in Burgundy next June. So that's a fun thing. There's a few spots left for Burgundy. If you had Burgundy on your bucket list, this is probably a good time to go because this is going to be epic. Fabian and Stephanie from Ferox will be there with us. And we also have Twyla and Richard De Silva from De Silva Winery in BC joining us. So 2 sets of winemaking couples and 20 members joining us. So it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. Burgundy, here we come. But when it comes to Ferox, I wanted to mention they have treated us very well in the past. So there's Cubby doing a barrel tasting tank samples with us. There's Fabian and Stephanie just on our last trip. And I wanted to mention that.
Where's the bowl of cheese curd?
Oh, yeah. We brought them some fresh cheese curds from Quebec. That was already consumed on that white bowl there. I want to mention that also Fabian and Stephanie are doing a different trip to Europe in 2027, which is a river cruise with quite a few of their wine club members.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be a big one by, let's say, medium to decent size type of a cruise. And I think, Mira, I already made the decision that we're going to join.
We better go to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm not missing a German cruise without like come on, like a German couple inviting us to go tour Germany, wine country. So I mean, it's a pretty easy decision right there.
Totally. So yeah, this is the one here. So they're running their own river cruise. They're coming with us to Burgundy. That's a small group trip. That's like 24 to 26 people. But they're also doing this massive river cruise in 2027. So just in case you guys are you have the travel bug and you want to do these bucket list wine experiences, this is the way to do it. This is the way to do it. With people like Fabian, with people like Stephanie, with people like us.
Yes.
So, but don't worry. If you don't travel right now, if you don't want to travel, if you can't travel in the next couple of years, we will report back. We will share some of those wines. It's going to be freaking awesome anyways. And we will capture a lot of our trip to Burgundy on YouTube. So you guys can get the highlights that way. It'll be a lot of yes. Oh, last thing I want to mention is yummy food at Ferox too. We had some amazing.
Oh, I mean, it was incredible.
They've treated us very, very well, and we love their wines. A lot of really high scores from them. So this week we have 10 wines.
10 wines. And I mean, out of 10 wines, I think there's 5 over 92 points.
Yeah, so let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5.
I mean, this is a pretty darn freaking good ratio of 92 points or higher.
Amazing. So we'll report back in the morning with the full tasting notes. We'll report back on how the Chard Reserve that Carl just tasted live in a very stressful blind tasting. We'll report back how that does in the morning. And
94 plus at the minimum. My glass has been empty for a while, so according to the Mira scale, this wine was the very best. That's no.
This is the number 1 glass. This is the number 2. This is the Ferox here. I mean, they're both really freaking good. But
oh yeah, I'm not saying that the Mira wasn't good. I'm just saying that one of the two was shoulder. A good 2 points ahead of the other one. And that doesn't mean that the 92 plus or 92 is not good, but one of the two was supremely freaking fantastic. And that's funny because what got me on that one, it's not usually what the bachelor will absolutely make me lose my mind with richness and wild ferment. And no, it was more about tension and laser focus, acidity and flinty on the finish, like, and the barrel, the oak profile. It was completely different than what the let's say the leaning post or the batchelder or which other, like some of the iconic Niagara Chardonnay that I usually really enjoy. This one was different. It is different. The profile is different. And that's why I'm like there was something, and Fabian mentioned something, je ne sais quoi. There's a little je ne sais quoi on that wine that was like, this is by far the highest rated wine of that flight.
Nice. Hey, quick question from Leslie here in Calgary. She's asking, what's the drinking profile on the R2 Chardonnay from Ferox?
Well, I just mentioned, right? Laser focused tension, bright acidity, lemon curd, almond cookie a little bit. I would say jasmine flower, a little bit of peach on the middle.
No, the drinking window. The drinking window.
Oh, you asked me for the flavor for the drinking profile. So no, it's all good. It's all good. Oh, I mean, this wine is just starting to open up. 10 years?
Okay, from now.
Yeah. Like, well, I mean, 2021, 30, between 20 up to 2032. But I can see that wine go on and on and on and on. I mean, it's a little, I can't pinpoint. I would say this wine will hit is very maximum. This is prime window of drinkability should be in the next 4 years. In the next 4 years, that's where you're going to get the very, very maximum wine. If you like wine with tension, some people like wine with softness and tertiary aromas. Now, between 2030 and 2033, you'll get plenty of that. Right now, this wine shows tension and precision and outstanding edges and definition of flavors.
Beauty. Hey, we better let everyone go. It's getting late. Jim and Tracy, normally on the East Coast, are now on the West Coast tonight because they are in town for our Members Choice Winery of the Year celebration tour this weekend on Saturday. We decided to do something a little different on Saturday to celebrate Maverick, which is our Winery of the Year, as voted by you guys from our discoveries last year. We decided to do a wine touring day where we're going to visit Maverick and 2 other Winery of the Year recipients, De Silva and Black Market, and get in on a taste of their newly pressed grape must, as well as stuff in barrels. We've heard Richard has a port in barrels that has not been tasted by anyone yet. So that's happening on Saturday. We'll report back. We have 1, maybe 2 spots left for that if you are going to be in the Okanagan. And Friday night, everyone can join us for that because we're going to be live. So Friday night is the night to open a Canadian Cab Franc because we're doing Canadian Cab Franc o'clock. All right, starting at 5 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Pacific on Friday, the 26th of September. That's 7 p.m. Eastern this Friday. There's just a small glimpse of what's going to be opened on Friday night. That's just a small sampling of it. That's just some of the East Coast wines. Oh, I see a BC one there. And that's a rosé of Cab Franc because I was like, hey, rosé should count too if it's 100% Cab Franc, right? And they're really starting to pour in. We expect quite a few more tomorrow.
There's a full box at the door right now. I have 3 Canada Post stickers on the door today. Tomorrow I have to go do a run all over the Okanagan to pick up a bunch of it. So, I mean, it's pouring in. That's going to be over 50 Cab Franc open on Friday night. So, yeah, it's a fun weekend in perspective. That is for sure.
For sure. So, yes, have a fabulous night, you guys. Keep your eyes peeled for more info on all these fabulous wines from Ferox in the next week, as well as updates on all these fabulous things we're doing, like the Cab Franc o'clock. So,
hey, by the way, Mira, I just want to say something about the Syrah because we barely talk about the Syrah today. It's the 2020 vintage Syrah from Ferox. There is only 4 rows of Syrah planted at the Ferox vineyard. There's only 50 cases made of that Syrah. This is from the spectacular 2020 vintage. And like I said, like these guys made European style wine and is none as obvious as the Syrah. I mean, when you crack that open, and I showed you and I tasted you on that this morning at 5:30, and seeing the evolution between 5:30 a.m. and 9 o'clock this morning. This is so fascinating. That Syrah, and I gave that Syrah maybe 15 years of aging potential. This Syrah will continue to grow in bottle, continue to evolve. If you're looking for a very rare wine, again, this week we got our hands on a couple of them right there, and that Syrah is one of them.
Yes, it is fabulous. Daryl saying, may the piercing be with you. He's not a big fan of Cab Franc, but I am proud to say we have more or less converted Daryl so that he still enjoys the odd Cab Franc here and there, whereas the before picture was quite different. Before Carl's Wine Club, it was like no Cab Franc at all. The after picture, there are some that he secretly enjoys.
Yes, you are correct. You are correct. And a big hi to Daryl
you're tired. We should go.
Yeah, Sandy. Sorry, I completely lost my mind. Daryl and Sandy out in Ontario. I just blanked. Sorry. Yes, I'm a bit tired, but that's okay. A big hi to Jeff and Stacy as well, out in Ottawa. Everyone who tuned in today, a big thank you for following us, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers.